Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's 25-minute presentation in this 10 o'clock hour. I am your session moderator today. My name is Stephen Kelly. I'm from the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities system. I have a few housekeeping items to share before we get started today. First, we ask that you keep your microphone on mute until you are invited to ask a question. Well, Mitchell will do that at different times, I imagine, during the presentation today. You can also ask your questions at any time by entering them into the chat, or you can use the raise your hand option if you like, and Zoom as well. We will be saving all the questions until the end of the presentation, unless Mitchell chooses to stop intermittently and invite those questions, which he is welcome to do. And we also have a reminder that we are recording this session. And lastly, closed captioning is available throughout the session. So if you'd like to enable that, you can do that with the controls near the bottom of your screen in Zoom. Today's presentation is titled Find What's Required, a look into a course adopted text ebook program and its successes. And our presenter today is Mitchell Scott. Mitchell, take it away.
Great, thanks, Stephen. Good morning-ish, everyone. Thanks for joining me. So yeah, I'm Mitchell Scott. I'm the coordinator of collections at Indiana University Southeast, which is just right outside Louisville, Kentucky, in New Albany, Indiana. So prior to this position, I was in Wisconsin, working in the UW system for many years, and then at St. Norbert College, which is where I was at when this program was taking place. So I'm going to be talking to you about that program where we're buying course adopted materials as unlimited access ebooks, and sort of what we saw in the data of that and the benefits and successes of that. So let's see. All right. So I'm going to give you a little bit about St. Norbert's institutional profile, since we all like to sort of situate ourselves institutionally. I'm going to talk about what a CAT is. That's our course adopted text, CAT for short, and the campus partnerships that came about to create this sort of program. I'm going to talk to you about the CAT program itself, and then I'm going to get into the data of 2.5 years of this program at St. Norbert's and get into really the hows and whats of it. So we're talking about how many were we able to provide these course assigned texts or course adopted texts. What were these types of books that we were able to provide this way? What classes were using them? Were we able to provide them for? How are they made available? So I get a little deep into the library, like ebook acquisition weeds there. So I hope I don't bore anyone. How much do they cost, which is a big question, and how are they used? And then I'll talk about sort of the benefits and successes. So St. Norbert College is just right outside Green Bay, Wisconsin, in De Pere, and it's a private Catholic liberal arts college. We have a enrollment of 2,100, and it's a predominantly residential campus. We have 3 graduate programs, relatively small, so we're really talking about an undergraduate population. Our highest enrolled majors are business administration, biology, education, psychology, communication, and media studies. So we're talking about a relatively small campus. So in fall 2018 or summer 2018 is when we started having serious discussions about sort of affordability initiatives on campus. Prior to these discussions, there had been some like organic sort of affordability work going on campus, and we had our biology department had adopted an OpenStax book, and we're using that in their Gen Bio 1 and Gen Bio 2, and then we had OpenStax being used in Gen Chem 1 and 2. And so, but outside of that, there really wasn't any other initiatives taking place or any strategic sort of initiatives that would try and get affordability initiatives in front of faculty or have departments collaborating. So in the summer of 2018, the library came together with the bookstore and academic technology to start talking about other ways that we can try and discuss affordability initiatives at St. Norbert. So one of the things that came out of this was that the bookstore agreed to begin sharing the required material list. So faculty submit their required materials, the books they're using. They're sharing that list with the library prior to the start of the semester. So this is our course adopted text list. This is what the library would be doing here is sort of a downstream program. And I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but the faculty selection takes place and the library steps in sort of downstream of that selection and then sees what we can do and buys up unlimited access ebooks or steers those students and faculty toward already licensed unlimited access ebooks, so sort of downstream of selection. So this started really as a pilot. We just were going to dip our toe into this. I mean, we're one of the libraries that are dealing with like flat and reducing budgets, so we wanted to see what we could really do in this area with already licensed content. And so a lot of libraries, the ebook offerings that they make available come from a big publisher or big vendor package that we buy, where we pay a set amount of money and we license like 200,000 ebooks, right? And so that's really for some people, that's the reach of our ebooks content. And so we wanted to see what course assigned materials actually lived in that already licensed, so no extra cost to us content, and then see, where could we purchase here and there to make more of this content available for no cost to students. So the workflow was that library collection staffs would ideally get the list from the bookstore about a month prior to the start of the semester. We would love it before that if we could get it. We'd identify required materials available from existing library license content, so from this massive ebook package that we have. And then we'd identify materials that we could purchase library licenses for, or perpetual access, so ownership of these ebooks. We only dealt in unlimited access ebooks. There are a variety of ebook models that exist in libraries where you can get like a 1 user license, a 3 user license, which means that only 1 user can use it at a time or 3 users can use it. We only dealt in unlimited access because we wanted this to be a viable option for all the students in a course that chose this instead of buying the print. So after we do all of that, the library, we reach out to faculty in a big communication sort of arm of this, and we give them an email with the URLs for the available ebooks. This email took on like several iterations. I feel like when I first started it, I used like the language of the movement, and I was like, will you adopt this book? And they were like, I don't know what you mean. Like, what do you want me to do with this book? You want me to adopt it? And so that changed over time. And I think the language that really stuck with people and got people interested was, will you offer this as a no-cost solution for students that are interested in this option? That was the one. Keep it simple, keep the message simple. And that's what we were asking them to do, is just share it. So we encourage them to share it with students via email, learning management system, any other way they would do it. Put it in the syllabus. I mean, any way you can share this with students that'd be interested in this no cost library ebook instead of buying a print option. I can't say enough about our bookstore partnership and how important it was to this. Not only did they agree to share the required material list with us, which is a huge sort of win, but they also were involved after we identified these materials. So I would share a list back with them of, here are the things the library can provide as an unlimited access ebook. They have that list with them when students come in to shop or are asking about ebooks. They even went as far as putting like physical placards on the physical shelves for the ebooks that we could provide as free library ebooks. So we got a lot of students interested in our content that way. So what did we do? What were we able to do? So from fall 2018 to 2020, or fall 2020 is the data that I have to present to you. We could look at those required material lists, see the total number of texts that were assigned at St. Norbert during those times. So, 478 in fall 2018. The library, we started very small with this, was able to provide 19 CATs, or unlimited access ebooks for those materials, right? And so a whopping 4%, so very modest start. Spring 2019, again, we were just sort of seeing what possibilities were here. Out of the 526, the library could provide 25 unlimited access ebooks, so 5%. And by fall 2019, spring 2020, and fall 2020, we really threw everything into this and decided to really turn this into an ebook strategy and throw as much money behind it as we can to buy up every unlimited access ebook that we could that was on this list. And so that's where you see the numbers jump to 54 that we were able to provide for fall 2019, 72 for spring 2020, and then 45 for fall 2020. 2020. And so on average for those 3 years where we really put our effort into it and funding into it, it's around 15% of what was assigned as a book at St. Norbert we could provide as a free unlimited access ebook. So what are these CATs or these ebooks that we're providing? So there's several limitations as to what the library can provide and why those numbers are so low. So there's really no textbooks that we're able to do this with, and I don't like to lead with that because I feel like I lose people in the affordability space when I say, well, I'm talking about everything but textbooks. But it's all the rest, right, that the library can actually provide in this way. And so, we're limited in that sense that the traditional textbook publishers don't make their content available to us via this unlimited access license that we're wanting for this stuff. We're limited to, it has to be available via one of our library vendors or from the publisher so that we can actually buy it via this model. So there are some limitations into, how the reach that the library can actually go with this sort of program. But what we did see from what we were able to provide where we were largely dealing with university press content. So that was 32% of the books that we were providing were university presses. 29% came from academic presses. So that's your Elsevier, that's your Wiley, your Sage, your Springer, what we're terming academic presses. We had 29% come from trade publishers, which is a big number when I've seen other institutions or libraries report on their numbers of or sort of what they're providing. And then there's that whopping 1%. We actually had 2 that were a traditional textbook, and they were older version that had been made available via this license, and that's why we're able to provide those. So what courses use these CATS ebooks? So from fall 2018 to fall 2020, we had 161 S&C courses had one or multiple CATs used at that time. And we were largely, I shouldn't say largely, but the majority were in upper division courses, which makes sense in the, in the terms of textbooks being used in gen ed, lower division courses, then library playing a role here in, sort of the rest of the content. So those upper division courses that are assigning sort of non-textbook content, right? We had our biggest department to use or to take advantage of the CATS program or for us to provide CATS for was theology and religious studies. And this is because at St. Norbert, we have a gen ed requirement that's a lower division theology and religious studies course that everyone's required to take. And so it's us playing a part, these library ebooks playing a part in, providing no cost options in one of these gen eds at St. Norbert. And that's also a reason that a lot of trade publications are assigned here for students to read as part of this course. So that's why our numbers were bigger there. And probably also a reason why our numbers for lower division courses are relatively so high because of that lone course. And so we were, sociology played a big part, education, social sciences, but we were very pleased at St. Norbert to see sort of activity across all divisions and all departments. And so whether it's just providing one ebook for one course, or multiple ones, we were glad that this had a reach into sort of every department at St. Norbert. So how did we provide these? So in fall 2018, we'd obviously never purchased for a program like this before. So we had 0 ebooks that were previously purchased. Of those 19 that we provided that semester, 42% were from subscribed content. So no extra cost to the library. We were already paying for this. These were already unlimited access ebooks. All we had to do was reach out and let people know this is an option. And then 58% were purchased. And as we got more involved into this and did this semester after semester, we were super excited to see that our previously purchased content became a big portion of what we were able to provide each semester. So, just like, textbooks get reused each academic semester, each fall semester, each spring semester, is the same case for these library ebooks that we're buying. There's this title prevalence that takes place where they're reused and they're recycled. And so these investments that we're making in fall 2019 will pay out in fall 2020, right? And so by fall 2020, we had a big whopping sort of 38% of what we were able to provide was for previously purchased content. And it's good to see that subscribe number so high as well. Overall, when we look at that number, around 27% of what we're providing for this program was from already licensed content, right? So that's an easy place to start for people that are looking to do this. And then around 54% came from purchases, where we're buying the unlimited access ebook and perpetual rights to it. So then it becomes our inventory of course assigned materials that can get reused each semester. So the big question, how much does it cost, right? I mean, so I think, library budgets are flat and decreasing often. And so it's hard to, figure out a way to find funding to support new incentives or new programs like this. So in fall 2018 and spring 2019, we started relatively small. And so around $1,300 a semester. By fall 2019 and spring 2020, we were buying every unlimited access ebook that we could that was on that list. And so we spent a little over $10,000 that year. Fall 2020, we saw it dip back down to around $2,000. But then that was the semester where we saw the highest title prevalence too, where those ebooks that we previously purchased were getting reused to an extent that we didn't see in previous semesters. So were they used? And so libraries provide ebooks in a variety of ways. We do it with that big journal, that big publisher, or that big vendor package where we provide 200,000 ebooks, licenses to those. That's one way we do it, right? And then we also look for other ways to sort of supplement those subscriptions and provide ebooks to our users. And we do it through some we use patron-driven acquisition, some we do sort of other stuff. One we used at St. Norbert was called evidence-based acquisition. That's where we pay a publisher a certain amount of dollars, and they give us 30,000 ebooks over the course of a year. And then at the end of that year, we see what got used, and we would buy the titles that were used and add them to our collection. So we were heavily invested at St. Norbert during the time we were running this CATS program in evidence-based acquisitions. And so we thought it'd be really interesting to see how these CATS ebooks compared to really these different acquisition models, right? Our evidence-based, and then our ProQuest package, which is our giant ebook package that provided that subscribed content. So we thought it'd be curious to see sort of what the level of usage was for these things. So over the course of time that we're talking about, fall 2018 to fall 2020, for our evidence-based acquisitions, we had 329 titles used for 2,000 uses and 6 uses per title. Those CATS ebooks that are making their way into curriculum, into the classroom, required materials, we had 215 titles used for 46,000 total uses, or 216 uses per title. And then that ProQuest package, which is 200,000 ebooks, we had 1,800 titles used for 41,000 uses and 22 uses per title. So these CATS ebooks that we were assigning are out using, a 200,000 ebook package. Just looking at this data and thinking about what I've read about user behavior with ebooks. I mean, it's interesting to think of the way students use ebooks for research, and they sort of get in and get out. They get the facts they need when they use a library ebook for research purposes, right? But for things that are assigned to them, like course required material or these CATS ebooks, they're invested, or they're spending more time with that ebook than they would if it's just a research need. So I think that's potentially one of the reasons why you could see those use per title up compared to the other ones. And it's more users are going to be using it. If it's a class of 20 students, and there's the potential there that 20 users are using that over the course of the semester. Okay, so the benefits of the CATS program. So our downstream program, buying what faculty had already selected, became an upstream program because of this, in the sense that faculty loved this program and they started becoming interested in what the library could do for them prior to selecting content for their courses, right? And so if they're developing a course, redesigning a course, thinking about content they're going to assign, they would reach out to us and say, what could the library provide as an unlimited access ebook? What could the library provide for this course content? So really the interest went from catching it after it's been assigned to really affecting curriculum decisions, right? Which was amazing to see. That's not the majority, but that did happen, and we were very pleased for that. It focused our ebook strategy and budget. So we stopped doing evidence-based acquisitions altogether. We poured all of that money into buying unlimited access ebooks for course assigned materials, just because we so loved the program. Faculty loved it, students loved it. This was the ebook investment that we wanted to make. And it aligned with institutional strategic priorities in a way that I've never, I've been doing collections for a while, library collections, and I've never been a part of a program or had a program that really aligned with institutional strategic priorities like equity and access, affordability, student success in a way that a program like this does for the library. So it allowed us to really talk about the library collections, library funding, library support for initiatives that are going on campus, and these institutional strategic priorities in ways that we never were able to before. So that's my spiel. I talk really fast, so sorry about that. Oh, I was going to say too, the data all comes from a recently published article on just exactly this. So if you're interested, it's out there in an OA version and then the publisher version. So.
Thank you for that, Mitchell. I would like to draw your attention to a couple questions in the chat. Would you like me to read those for you, or would you like to refer to them on your own?
Sure. Would you read them? That'd be helpful. Thanks.
Sure, I can, no problem. So the first question is from Luann. And Luann asks, for the UPress Scholarly Press Library ebook uses for courses, was this a change in what the instructor was previously using? And if so, what campus conversations promotion may have led to the change in required texts?
Well, I think oftentimes it wasn't a change. It's just that we began looking at the required materials list. And so some of these were probably assigned previously, but we just had never thought to check against the required materials list to see what already licensed ebook content we had or what we could buy. And so we really didn't have any conversations about what you're assigning unless they came to us to talk about what could the library do for my creation of this new course, or I'm thinking about materials to assign in a new course. Could the library provide these as unlimited access ebooks? So we really just started taking advantage of the content that we already have and the content that we could buy for selections the faculty were already making. Does that make sense?
Luann indicates yes, thank you. Our next question is from Andrew, and Andrew asks, how many library peeps worked on this? How did it fit into their existing workflows? Were they librarians, staff, etc.?
Yeah, so we're a small library at St. Norbert. So it was me and our acquisition specialist. That's it. So that we were the ones that worked on it. So it didn't create, so it's like anything when you're dealing with like required materials for the start of the semester, it felt like we were jumping into the bookstores world where we're like, we need these required materials lists, we need them now, we got to get out in front of this. And so right before the start of the semester, it's really busy as you prepare your lists and you send out all your emails and you do your purchasing. But then after that, it slows down until you get ready for the next start of the next semester. So there's like a real sort of it takes a lot of work at the beginning of the semester, and then it sort of settles down until you do it for the next semester. I did all of the matching on my end, and where I took the required material ISBNs and matched them against library content, and then matched them against our vendors to see what we could purchase. And so all that work came from me, and it was a lot of work, but well worth it. And so it started conversations between myself as a collection librarian and faculty that I hadn't had, where like all of a sudden I understood what they were teaching and I understood what they were signing in the classroom and sort of things like that. So I think it's well worth it. And then for our acquisitions person, it was largely just triggering these purchases, just putting them in a cart once we identified what we wanted to purchase and sort of making that purchase and pursuing all the invoicing and stuff on the back end and all that.
Thank you. And it looks like we have a question from Corey. Corey, would you like to enable your microphone and ask your question to Mitchell directly?
Sure. Hey, Mitchell, what's up, man?
Hey, Corey, how are you?
How you doing?
Good.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
I've seen it a couple times, but this just reinforces the benefits of this program to me watching this. Man, if you just look at some of those use, it's awesome. So thanks for doing all this work. I'm definitely going to take a look at your article here, but I think it's just important to realize here from a use perspective in libraries, man, when you incorporate any resources into the courses, whether it be, you could also think of this for streaming videos and other things, man, you just see so much more use. So this is a great way to, you know, provide, you know, inexpensive content to our users. And it's kind of that mix of libraries and OA, where it's not really OA, but it's an affordability piece. So thanks for doing all this work. And we kind of do something a little similar here at Stout. You know, our textbook program is pretty advanced, but you know, we do a little bit of this matching, but we don't even do it to this level. So I'm gonna, you know, talk to Bob to see if we can do a little more of this. And I think some of it is we've done some of this, but I haven't looked at the back data to say, hey, look, all these are adopted, and then, oh my gosh, look at the use connected. So this will help. So I'd encourage other libraries to take this approach in whatever way you can do it. You know, scratch and claw, if you got a, you know, a textbook program, or if it's a bookstore, or even just, you know, faculty outreach. And I think one of the additions here is, how do you get faculty on board with this? Not just by going, I know the bookstore or whatever is the first part, but is there more to like start recruiting people, or do you feel like, did you have to do a lot of recruitment, or was it just straight up, you just look at that list, you bought it and said, hey, look, these are available? I'm kind of curious on that aspect. Did you start, because there's work involved, but once you get it set up, and the content's there, and then I think the additional benefit, like you're talking about, is just then the faculty are like, wow, you guys have a lot of resources. You know, we run into that libraries all the time. My faculty say, I didn't know you had access to this or this thing. So you get some of this additional benefit, not just from the ebook, but even others. So I don't know. I think I had just a lot of kind of comments more than questions. And I just say, hey man, it's Wisconsin's loss to have you out of the state. So I'm kind of bummed about that, but I hope you're doing well.
I am, thank you.
So I don't know if I have a question there. Just a lot of comments. Good stuff.
We didn't have to recruit in the sense of, I mean, either faculty were interested or they weren't with that initial email. And we had people that weren't, and that, you know, that's fine too. And I think some of that changed when I changed the language of the email too, and asked them, because I think they want to give the student the option, right? You could still use a print resource, or you could use this free ebook. It depends on what you want, right? And so, but then, you know, we're trying to think of ways to expand this, and so some of the recruitment would involve a grant that we had just started at St. Norbert, where this process becomes sort of a part of the grant, the process of the grant, right? And so if you're redesigning a course, there's a component in there that says, would you work with the library and library staff to either identify an OER for your course? And I wanted to say that too, like this program sort of fits into the whole scheme of it's a suite of options for faculty as they think about affordability, right? And so obviously we'd always start with OER if that were an option. If it's not, would you work at the library to identify already licensed content that we have via our unlimited access ebooks? Could we go out and buy something for you that you would use that offers a no-cost solution to students? And so really working with us to get your course to no to low cost, right, in that way. And so that was our plan for expanding it. And that sort of gets to like the upstream, you know, get upstream of faculty selection, so that, you know, we sort of have both of those elements in place where we're affecting selection and then we're catching it after selection, if that makes sense.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone today for attending this session. I want to be mindful of time because we do have our 11 o'clock sessions approaching. Thank you, Mitchell, for a wonderful presentation. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Our next sessions begin at 11 o'clock. Now is a great time to grab another cup of coffee. And Mitchell, I did want to bring your attention to a question from Melissa that's still in the chat, and ask you if you might be willing to follow up with her offline after this session at some point. If you need Melissa's contact information, Mitchell, we can provide that for you. The organizers can. Okay. Thanks so much, everyone.